While researchers at OpenAI were responding to a code red, many other researchers were gathered at one of the most important conferences for AI research, the Neural Information Processing Systems Conference. It's not a conference about neuroscience, it's a conference about AI. My colleague Stephanie Palazzolo was there on the ground all week, and she wrote a story this morning about what she learned, and I want to bring her on to tell us more about what the talk of the town was on the ground. Stephanie, good morning. It's great to have you here.
Hi, good morning.
So, what is this conference that has a terrible name, if I'm being honest, but apparently is the place to go for research?
It's much more commonly known as NeurIPS, which is a lot easier to say than the full name. But essentially, NeurIPS is one of the kind of largest conferences held each year for AI researchers. And so, in the past, it's been really more focused on academic researchers. Um, but in more recent years, it's become, much more popular for people to go to. And so this year they actually had more than 25,000 people there, including, not only researchers, but now startup founders, investors that want to back them, and of course, journalists like myself.
So, you opened your story with this line from David Lawn, who does AI research at Amazon. The quote that you started with is he said, "I will guarantee that the way we're training models today will not last." Why did that line stand out to you? What did he even mean by that?
Yeah, so David, who previously was the CEO of a company called Adept, and then also prior to that, he had also led engineering at OpenAI for quite a while. He was very quick to say, whenever he says this sort of comment, he doesn't mean that pre-training is dead or scaling is dead or AI is over, but he's basically just saying that we're clearly missing some kind of key ingredients that we need to have in order to reach artificial general intelligence. And he does believe that model development is going to have to change a lot over time to be able to reach AGI. So, for instance, one thing that he and a lot of other researchers at the conference talked about, which I wrote about in this morning's piece, is the importance of something called continual learning. And so basically, that is AI that's able to keep on learning even after it's been trained. Um, and then, so we also talked a lot about, David also talked a lot about the order of steps in training a model and
Right.
how it doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense. So, right now, there's a ton of compute and time that's spent in a phase called pre training, where a model just looks at a ton of data from like the internet and books. But David basically made a point, which is, why are we spending so much time showing models this kind of random, very general, but like ultimately maybe not super relevant data from the internet when we should be showing it more data that's related to the sorts of tasks that we're going to be asking the model to do in the future.
Now, how does all this connect to some of the questions that you wrote about being raised around the physical sciences and biology, for example? This has been a big promise of AI that, hey, the chatbots are one thing, but this could actually lead to cures for some of the diseases that we haven't been able to find them for yet. I mean, I walked away from your story thinking that maybe people were a little bit skeptical of at least the near term promise, and also that promise actually being achieved, given the way people are working on it. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's important to mention that like clearly AI companies are making a lot of money today from existing AI products, even if we're not to the point where AI is like finding new cures for diseases, and we're clearly not at this kind of super intelligence phase. So there's a lot of money to be made, no matter what happens, even if the AI progress were to stop today. But yeah, I think in general, and not only at this conference, just from news stories we've seen in the past couple of weeks and sources that we've talked to, there has been kind of this growing skepticism around whether AI models will be able to kind of generalize beyond the data that they were trained on. And so, will they be able to come up with new discoveries that they've never seen before in training data and go beyond kind of the knowledge of the researchers that are training them, and also the human experts that companies like OpenAI and Anthropic are hiring to, write examples of tough answers and questions in fields like biology, medicine.
Right.
So I think a lot of the researchers think that if AI is able to do some sort of continual learning, um, then it would be able to learn more similar to the way that humans do, where we don't need to be shown like 10,000 examples of how to solve a math problem to be able to learn how to solve a math problem. We kind of just learn from experience and from, trial and error, basically.
Right, right. Well, I know that it was a very buzzy conference, and so I want to thank you for coming on to tell us all about it. We'll talk to you again very soon. That is Stephanie Palazzolo, our AI reporter here at The Information.